the PSGL Season 38 F4 Bahrain Grand Prix. We're here under the lights in Sakir for the final round of the season here in PlayStation F4, and I'm sure it's going to be a good one. You may see, first of all, there's only 9 people here today, but that doesn't mean it can't be an exciting race. We've got a very interesting 4-way fight for the for P3 in the constructors. First of all, between Alpine, Williams, Mercedes, and Sauber, all within about 7 points of each other. So there's a lot to play, and you've got Philly racing for Sauber today. You've got no Mercedes, so they'll their best finish will be 5th in the constructors. But if Philly scores a point, scores more than 1 point here today, then he will jump. Then Sauber will jump ahead of Mercedes, and with the attendance not being as high as usual, this is a really good chance for Philly to get some good points and maybe get Sauber P3 in the constructors. No PLX, the champion of PSF4, winning in Las Vegas last week. Sadly, there was no stream because me and Quinn were not able to do it, but at least we got me here today. Quinn couldn't make it again, unfortunately, but I'm just happy that we have a stream, and I'm excited personally for this final round and see what these drivers have to give us. Right. Okay, I think that's fine. So the drivers we do have here today, we've got the 2 Williams, Fox, Blue, and Swifty. Deval for Kevin left the server, so Swifty has taken his spot. He's been a reserve. He scored his first points last week in Las Vegas, with a P9 finish, which got him 2 points. That puts him 24th in the standings, as we watch Philly, who I would say is the favourite for the win going into this race. He's the only Sauber here today. We have both Alpines, which is good for their overall constructors fight. They are 3rd at the moment, looking to maintain that position. And I'm pretty sure they're just out of reach of McLaren in P2, with them on 114 points and Alpine on 83. Tervalba is the only Haas here today. And there is a battle for P9 in the constructors as well, so there may not be any stories in the driver standings, but a lot is still left to be decided in the constructors. Between Haas and Ferrari, the battle for P9, Ferrari currently have 22 points, Haas have 17. That P2 in Saudi Arabia for Ferrari has really helped them, and that's what got them past Haas. But Haas do have Tervalba today, who is currently fastest out of the 9 drivers, as Philly goes slowest. Not the first lap he would have wanted. So yeah, it's going to be a Kenny versus Tervalba for that P9 in the constructors. And with there being 9 people here today, that means that everyone is going to get points if they finish. So this is a really good opportunity for Kenny and Tervalba, and they have to take it with both hands as we watch Captain come round the final corner and cross the line, and he goes slowest now. Not a good lap for him there. Liargos goes into the pits, so now we've got most people on in laps. But yeah, so we have Liargos in the McLaren, who has had a horrid season, to say the least, which has been really unfortunate for him. He's not missed too many races. He's only finished twice. He's made 6 races, this being his 7th. And he hasn't scored points. He got 13th in Silverstone, and he got 11th in Las Vegas, just missing out on his first points of the season. And yeah, he's the only McLaren. But despite that, McLaren's still P2 in the Constructors, so they'll be giving themselves pats on the back for that. Aston Martin winning the Constructors' Championship as well. They had the drivers' winner, obviously, with PLX, and then Sam van Vissing was a very good number 2 driver for them as well. And I mean, near the start of the season, McLaren were looking very good with MXN, but of course he got moved up, and it was Salia Dennis and Liargos. Liargos just not being able to find the pace at all, and that allowed Aston Martin to come through and win the Constructors quite comfortably, with about a 35-point gap around that region. As we've got Swifty, he's on his lap using that line to avoid the bumps on the main straight. Touches a bit of that inside curb, which you don't really want to do at turn 1. Nearly invalidating there, but he's still going, is Swifty. But yeah, I think we've gone through attendance now for this race. And we've still got 11 minutes left of this session to watch. And it's currently a purple sector 1 for Swifty as he comes through that S section, you could say, turn 5 and 6 and 7. Now through turn 8. And now to the trickiest part of the track, I think. Turn 9 and 10. Have to turn and brake for that one, and it's a downhill. See a lot of people going wide there. Then using all of the track into turn 11. Getting very close there to the curb. Hitting the apex. Now up the hill on the right hander. I mean, in the last few games, you weren't really able to touch that inside curb, or you'd be sent spinning. But in the last few games, it's been more friendly for people to touch. And now into the final corner, Swifty goes, using all of the track there on the exit. Him and Liargos are the only people not to set a lap so far, and I think Liargos has just started his lap. Swifty goes 4th, just behind his teammate with a 1:27.079. So a decent lap there for Swifty. We'll watch Liargos now. He's just gone through the first few corners there. Now into turn 4. Over the little bump there, over the curb into the S section. Which is quite tricky to do because you can go a bit wide like that and that can unsettle the car. But Liargos has been able to negotiate it, and maybe he'll be able to get his first points of the season here in the final round, round 12 of season 38. Pretty sure the calendar for next season just got released. I haven't had a look at it yet, but yeah, I mean, as soon as this race is over, I'll be looking forward to that, and I'm sure lots of people will. Yeah, you'll be able to join me for commentary next season, most likely, to watch more of... Oh, the Argos goes over that bump now after invalidating. To see more of these brilliant F4 drivers in action, hopefully, if divisions don't change too much. The Argos invalidating again and having to go into the pits. That's the second time he's had to do that. But we'll look at everyone else on their laps now. Swifty invalidating, going to the pits. We saw him do his lap, which put him 4th. Fox Blue currently 6 thousandths up on his time as he enters sector 3, and he's currently a 10th up, and it's a 4/10th gap to Nico and to Alba, who are currently taking up the front row on the grid for the race. So Fox Blue will have to find a lot of time if he wants to catch them, and he's invalidated. That's his lap over, and he heads to the pits. Nico now coming round the final corner, over the curb there, but he's going to box as well. Taralba loose on the exit down in E-boxes. I think most people might have been on outlaps actually. As Capitane's at the moment, he's damaged his wing. Philly in the pits. Kenny, has he started a lap? Nah, he just finished one. He's 5th currently with a 1:27.215. And Sebi is going to box as well, and so will Captain. And Kenny will be coming back to the pits as well. So looking at the results from Las Vegas, which I've got in front of me as a little recap. So Nico, who is here today in the Alpine, who has been good in qualifying recently, he started P2, just behind Philly, about 400ths of a second behind the Sauber driver, but he was able to convert that P2 into a win ahead of PLX, which confirmed him as driver champion. Sebi, Nico's teammate, then in third, sandwiching the PLX. Then behind them you had Salia Dennis, who has been looking very quick near the end of this season. Sadly he's not here today, but usually has a bit of a disappointing qualifying session, but most of the time he's been able to charge through the grid and still get a good result. Behind him it was then Kenny, who's reserving for Ferrari today. Behind him it was then Omarino in the Haas, which has definitely helped them in their fight with Ferrari in the constructors. Put them a lot closer, with the gap only being 5 points. It's very possible that that fight will change as the race goes on. Behind Omarino is then Dutch Tricks in the Red Bull, who's not here today. Good P7 for him. He finishes the season in 7th, but Nico might be able to overtake him today. He's only 2 points behind him, so we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Then it was Philly, who had a relatively disappointing race in P8, and Swifty in 9th, getting his first points of the season. Then Ferrari, his name is Ferrari, got P10, reserving, and Liargos was 11th, and you had 5 retirements, which were Tarauba, Raul Ruiz, Captain, Sam Van, and Tico. Captain looking to turn that result around and finish on a high here in Bahrain. He's currently P8 on an outlap, but we'll see what he has to give. Most people starting their laps now. Liargos trying his best not to invalidate. Looking good at the moment, apparently a purple sector 2, and I think he's going to be the next one to cross the line. Who's on the lap? Captain crossing the line now to start his lap with 4 minutes remaining. Liargos around the final corner. He's going to set his first timed lap. Opens the DRS across the line and he goes third. It's a good lap there by Liargos, and maybe he'll be able to end his season on a very good note. Swifty boxes. He's backed out his zap. Fox Blue invalidates, so both Williams will be heading back to the pits. Tavauba's invalidated as well. Nico looks to be on a decent lap. I think he was up. We'll see what it is. Out of sector 2, he might just be going back to the pits. And he is currently a 10th up, but he's invalidated. Watch Captain now. Philly starting a lap, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. Watch Captain though, as he is at the back and he really needs to improve. Coming into turn 11 now, braking just before the 50-meter board, I think. And he's not. He's going back to the pits. So watch Philly, who is on the lap. Only 3 minutes after the session now. And he's the only one on the lap. I thought Captain was braking incredibly late for turn 11, and I realised he was on none. Yeah, through that tricky section of the track goes Philly, but he's nailed it quite well under the Aramco advertising board there. And to be fair, still braking quite late is Philly. Watch him be on none. No, he is on a lap, I'm pretty sure. We'll see what it is through sector 2, and he's 5 tenths up, which is really what he's needed in this last part of the session. I think it would be a bit odd for him to box now. I don't think he'd have enough time to come back out if he did. But into the final corner he goes, touches that inside curb, uses the outside one a lot. That is the ideal line, and he's going to stay out, and he is going to cross the line, and he's going to go on to pole position ahead of Toralba there, 1:26.527 for the Sauber, and that is a very good lap by Philly, and that's going to force Toralba and Nico to respond, with them about a tenth behind Philly. But yeah, great lap by Philly there. He really needed that to end the season, especially after Vegas, where he didn't really have a good result. He'll be chuffed with that if he's able to keep it. But I think Toralba and Nico still the favourites to take pole position, at least from what we've seen so far in this session. But Philly's been up there most of the season, so he's not a complete underdog, as everyone comes out the pits now. Swifty, Fox Blue, Liargos, Nico and Toralba all on out laps. Nico will be the first one to start his final lap with 1:30 on the clock. Philly will be making his way to the pits to watch the rest of this session, unless he has enough fuel to go for another one. I don't know if he does though. Here comes Nico though, round the final corner, using that inside line to avoid the bumps, and Philly does retire, and he will be watching the rest of this session in spectator. So will Kenny, he's retired as well in the pits, and Capitaine, the Williams and Liargos just going on to their laps soon. I think Liargos is the one furthest behind. Actually, it's Capitaine. I don't even know if he'll get to the flag that far back. But let's watch Nico. He's currently down, which is really what he does not. That's really not what he needs if he wants to beat Philly. We've seen his pace in qualifying, especially in Saudi Arabia, where he started on pole position and went on to win that race. And he has been charging through the championship order since coming in at Saudi Arabia. So he started with a win, and he's looking to end with a win if he gets to pole position, and he might find himself P6 at the end of this race if he gets enough points to go ahead of Kevin, who is currently in 6th position. Nico using an interesting line, and he has invalidated from that line. So now it's all eyes to Toralba, who is currently P2, just a tenth behind Philly. It's a little loose on the exit of the final corner, but he's going to come up to the line. What's it going to be for the Haas? Can he beat Philly? Yes, he can. It's provisional pole for Toralba. He's ahead of Philly. Liargos and Foxborough on their laps. Capitaine didn't make the flag. He'll be starting last position. Really disappointing for him. Only driving a 1:28. With the others being in 1:27s and 1:26s. But here comes Fox Blue. Liargos will follow behind him, but here comes the Williams across the line. Can he improve? He can. He goes ahead to Liargos. He will be P4. Liargos will need to respond now. He is currently improving down the hill into the final corner. Will it be enough to boost himself up against Fox Blue? And it's not. He goes wide at the final corner, and that is qualifying over. It's Toralba on pole position here in the final race of season 38, and it was a great lap there by the Haas, beating Philly by over a tenth. Philly looking like he took the pole position from Toralba, but he responded, and he's responded well. It's a Pablo Toralba Philly front row. Behind them it's then Nico in the Alpine. Not too bad of a qualifying session for him. Third is still very good. And yeah, we'll be looking to build on that in the race. Fox Blue is then 4th in the Williams. The Argos then in 5th. I'm really hoping for his sake he can score some points tonight. I mean, it's the best time to do it. With low attendance, really good chance to score points and finish the season on a very good note. Behind him, it's then Swifty in P6. Then it's Kenny in 7th, reserving for Ferrari, trying to get them that P9 in the Constructors. But that will be very difficult with Taralba on pole position, looking to get the 16 points you get for a win here in PSGL. Behind Kenny, it was then Sebi in Alpine. And behind him, it was the only Red Bull Capitaine in 9th. About 6 tenths behind Sebi in 8th. And that is the grid. Just looking at the constructors. So yeah, there's no V-Carbs here today, no Aston Martins. And we'll have the Lobby V start now, before the real race gets underway. But it's always fun to see what sort of chaos the drivers get up to in this one. Nico failing to crash twice there. The Argos goes straight on. Very efficient tactic. Capitaine goes sideways in. I wouldn't say that's very effective. Swifty cutting the whole track and then right into the tyre barrier, which is the most effective way, I think, of DNFing. Capitaine's doing donuts. He's lost his wing now, so now he just has to get out of a tyre. And he just retires manually there, leaving his front wing all alone now with the DHL advertisement boards at the exit of turn 2. But he still does win the last man standing for the restart. Yeah, so no Aston Martins and no V-Carbs. So basically, every team that has a driver racing today is fighting for a position other than McLaren and Red Bull. Haas and Ferrari fighting for P9, and then Alpine, Williams, Mercedes and Sauber all fighting for P3, P4, P5 and P6. But no one wants to be in that P6 position, at least. Oh yeah, there's no Mercedes here today either. Silly me. So yeah, really good chance for Sauber to go 5th. And Philly has been their star driver for the Swiss team this season. Val Ruiz been their second driver, not having as good results as Philly, but he has still contributed to the points tally. Trying to find him on the thingy. Where is he? There we go. Yeah, with 4 points, 2 P10s and 1 P9 in Netherlands was his best result in that wet race. And where's everyone gone? Oh, was there no race? Well, apologies, but the race has been cancelled, I think, with at least what I know, because of the attendance. This is definitely not how we would have wanted to end the season off, but I mean, at least we saw a relatively exciting qualifying session, maybe a little teaser of what we can see from some drivers next season, in season 39 of PSGL, the final one in F1 24. But thanks for everyone watching F4 this season, and I've really enjoyed the opportunity to commentate on PSGL since I started commentating on F1 Roblox leagues a few years ago, and I never thought I would be commentating here. But thanks everyone for watching this season, and hopefully we'll be back for F4 next season. Sorry about the poor attendance and the unfortunate way to end the season, but enjoy the few weeks break, and we'll see you guys in season 39. Goodbye.